This is the solution to exercise 3b. We pick up from where we left off after exercise 3a, where we've deployed the Node.js Cloudant web starter application. So the first thing we want to do is download the starter code. So we should be in the start coding section. If not, you can go there and then scroll down a little bit and you'll see the button to download the starter code. We just click and then select to save this file. Once it's there, we can open the folder, and then I'm actually just going to move this onto my desktop because I'm going to work from the desktop. So once we've got the starter code downloaded, we can now delete this application. We don't need this anymore. So what we do is we select from the menu, the little gear wheel here, to delete the application. We then get the option of deleting the services that were deployed alongside the application and also the root. And we're going to leave those all selected and just hit the delete button. So here we are, we've now deleted the application. So one thing it is important before we move on to the command line, just to realize where we're working. So you need to understand what region you're in and also what space you're working in, because you need to log into the same region and the same space on the command line. So then we launch a command line window. Windows 8.1, it's down here. Just click there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here and say pin this to the taskbar so it's there when I need it in the future. And then we're simply going to log on to Bluemix. So CF L for login, and then we add the endpoint, which is HTTPS API. And then I'm in the United Kingdom region, so I'm going to put EU-GB. If you're in the US region, you put NG, and then .bluemix.net. This is now going to prompt me for my login information. And then I get to choose the region and the space. And that's me logged in to Bluemix. If I want to see what's in the marketplace, i.e. what services are available, I can type CF Marketplace. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to deploy the Cloudant database for the application to work. Now on Windows, on the default command prompt window, the marketplace looks quite messy and unformatted. If you have a Mac or a Linux and you have a larger terminal window, it looks a little bit neater. But we can definitely still find Cloudant. Here we go. So there's the Cloudant NoSQL database, and the plan is called shared. They're the two bits of information that we need. So what I'm now going to do is deploy an instance of that database. So the command foundry command line, and then I'm going to do a create service. You type the name that was in this left column on the CF Marketplace, and then you type the plan that you want. On Cloud, there is only one plan called shared, And then you give the service a name. You need to remember that name because we'll need to use that later on. So that's now created me an instance of the Cloudant database. If I just refresh the browser in the background window, you'll see that if I'm in the correct region and space, you'll see that my service appears here. The next thing we're going to do is we need to go and look at where our exercise code is. So I'm just going to create a new folder. And drag that into that folder. And I'm just going to extract So in the command line, I have to be in the correct folder. And I should see package.json. If I don't see that, there we go, we finished the extract. If I don't see that file, then I'm not in the correct folder. So it's got to be package.json. And I'm simply going to say cf push, which deploys an application. I then give it a name. The last part of the command line is no start. By default, when you push an application, it'll try and start the application. But because our application needs to talk to the database, we've got one more stage to connect the database and the application before we can actually start the application. So I'm asking it not to start the application. So that's pushed the application up to Bluemix. And if we go and refresh the console again, you'll see that we have the application now appearing in our dashboard. So the last thing we need to do is we need to link the service with the application. So we need the name of the service and we need the name of the application. And then we do a cf bind service, and then we put the name of the application, space, and then the name of the service. And that will bind the service to the application. So I just refresh that one last time. You'll see we now get the application, and now we've got the Cloudant database bound into the application. So I can now type cf start, and I'll just put the application name. So here we see the application's running, and you notice the dashboard has also been updated and is now showing the application is running. So we can just simply launch the application using this little link here, and that will show us our application is running. Now I just want you to look at the name of the sample document that's created, because we're now going to go and modify the code to change that. So if I go into the application folder, and then we're going to open this Now I've installed the Atom browser, but you can open it in any code editor. So I'm going to open it in the Atom editor. And what I'm looking for is line 306. And down here, line 306, you'll see that we've got the sample document information. So I'm just going to change the word sample to test in the 3 locations. And then don't forget to do file and then save. So I've now updated the source code for my application, and I've replaced sample with test. But before I can actually check the updated code, I need to go and modify the database, because that code's only used the first time I run the application. So if I click into my database service, my cloud service, that will open up the cloud and dashboard. I can then launch into this console. And from here, I get the option to modify the database. And here you'll see we have the sample database with 1 document. So if I click into the database, I can then press this little pencil to go and have a look at that document. And you can see that the name is sample document and the value is sample document. So what I want to do now is just delete that document. So hit delete and then just confirm that we want to delete the document. And now if I go and look at the databases, just refresh that. We'll see that we actually have no documents available. So now I've removed the document, I can go in and we can now push that modified code. So it's cf push, and again I type the name of my application, so there we go, we've updated the application and it's now running again. So if I come back into the browser, go back to the dashboard, and then with my application I can launch the application again using the link, and we can see instead of sample we now have test document. So we've shown that we've now got our modified code up and running. So to finish off this part of the exercise, we again want to just tidy up and delete the application. If I close that and come back into my command line, then I can go D for delete and then just the name of the application. And I put the -R to get rid of the roots. So that was one of the tabs that we had when we deleted the application through the user interface. I want to delete the root along with the application. And then I get asked, do I really want to do this? I say Y for yes. And then that's my application gone. And the last thing to do is just tidy up and do a delete service. So CFDS for delete service, and then the name of the service. Again, confirm yes. And that is the end of solution 3B.